basically, I've always been an avid reader and love books. And I used to think when I was a kid that I'd love to write a book one day, but then that thought just went away, and I never it yeah it, I didn't know what to do with it. Basically, when I had my own children, that's when I started looking for specific types of books, and found that many of them didn't exist. And so I basically took the advice of Toni Morrison, who said, if there's a book that you want to read and you can't find it out there, then you must write it yourself. And I started off looking for all the types of books that I wanted for my kids, and that's what got me started with Read Little Muslims, and finding, reviewing, and sharing as many books as I could. And then I still couldn't find what I wanted specifically, and so I did. I self-published in the beginning. I self-published my first few books, and then I started following so many other authors that were doing amazing things that I really admired. I followed them on Twitter, and I saw their journeys, and I was like, I think, that's what I want too. And I learned, I started following publishers and editors and agents, and started querying. And it took a long time, and I had to learn a lot. I had to learn the actual craft of the writing picture books, and took all these courses, and waited a long time in between, because we know publishing is very slow and lots of rejections. But I finally did connect with an agent who loved my stories as much as I did. And it was just such a good learning experience from the beginning, from reviewing, sharing all the books, self-publishing, and then eventually finding an agent. It's been an amazing experience, and I'm really grateful for it.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I was going to ask about that. So you actually have written other books written before, but this is your first traditionally published book.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Interesting. So what was the inspiration behind this book? So the book is all for those who haven't heard about it, even though there's been a lot of buzz, so probably most people have. But in case
Thank you.
It's about a fashion-loving girl, and she has to come up with a creative solution to having too many wonderful hijabs, and she's trying to figure out what is she going to do with all of them. So what inspired the story? Where'd you get the idea for this?
So initially, my daughter is the creative soul in my life, not me. And I just love watching her. I love, she's not with a hijab, but in general, she's very creative. And I just love the idea of this very creative, confident character. And the story just developed from there. I do love that many early reviews of the books by adult, like Muslim women, who say that they can really relate to having too many hijabs. It's a problem we all find ourselves in, and it's really quite a funny, relatable part of the story. But basically, yeah, my little girl, and I didn't set out to write a book about hijab. It was just this creative, confident, proudly Muslim character, and the story just developed from there. It's not the first manuscript I wrote, not even the second or third, but surprisingly, it's the one that got picked up first. And I guess many people don't realize the amount of care that goes into a picture book manuscript, and it changed a lot from beginning, from the first draft to publication. And I was guided, really well guided by the editors at Barefoot, by Lisa and Autumn. And I think like a manuscript, a picture book is such a collaborative effort, I think. So my inspiration was one thing, but from then to what it turned out to be is a combination of so many people's ideas. And I think that's really special about a picture book. I mean, Manal's illustrations bring so much to it. And I know Autumn had some ideas from her own daughters who had experiences with hijab. And so I think the character is the one that inspired the confident, creative character, which is my daughter. But it inspired the book. But what it turned out to be is a huge collaborative effort by so many people. And I'm really grateful for that, because I do love how it has turned out.
Yes, it looks really beautiful. I haven't been able to get my hands on a copy yet because it is so new, but
yes.
I haven't done an order, but I've been able to see some of the spreads online, and it just looks gorgeous, and the story is so about her learning how to use something she loves to help other people. What are you hoping that kids will take away from the book when they read it?
I do love encouraging my kids' creativity, as much as I struggle with the mess and the clutter that comes from
Right.
it. And I think it's important to allow them to experiment and explore. I am just like Hannah's mom, who
Mm.
is at the same time admiring and perpetually annoyed. But I hope that kids will just experiment and be experiment with their creativity and celebrate their own style, and also recognize their own I don't want to say problems, but issues that they might have with their creativity. Because, and I intentionally made her character to be confident and other people around her to be encouraging, because I think it's important for us to encourage and be accepting of kids and their creativity. So I hope that they'll just embrace their own creativity and have fun with it. And the community aspect, I value my own community so much. And as much as it's difficult to volunteer and do things all the time, I just like people to realize that you can help your community in any small way, and it can be really valuable, even if it's just helping them with a bit of a style. So I hope that, yeah, just I hope kids will have a bit of fun and enjoy the story and just see themselves in it. Any kid.
I love it. And I think one thing that people have responded to, of course, her amazing style and, like you said, her confidence and creativity, but also the fact that the book is about the hijab, or I should say that the hijab is not the main focus of it in a way. I mean, it's really about her and her creativity, but it does address the hijab, which is probably one of the most debated articles of clothing in the world. There's so much positive and negative about it. So I love that you took it up and showed it in a really positive way. What are you hoping that people, I know that this will kind of contribute to that, the whole dialogue about the hijab for Muslims and for non-Muslims, like as a way to normalize it more?
That's a great question. I guess I don't speak for every Muslim woman, just myself. And I firmly believe that, it's a Muslim woman's right to choose to wear the hijab or to choose not to wear the hijab. And I choose to wear it, and as do many, millions of other Muslim women. And just like other women shouldn't be told what or what not to wear, I believe the same courtesy should be extended to us. And I think that the problem, often Muslim women are spoken to, at, over, and I believe we should be given a chance to speak. And this is my voice. I have a positive relationship with hijab, and I just want to share that here. And I've said from the beginning, I'm not here to preach or teach or tell people what to do. In fact, that's what I set out not to do with the book. The book, like you said, it was just to focus on her creativity and character. But what I just like to achieve that is to give the Muslim girls a chance to try it, to be confident having a go in hijab, to be comfortable in it and confident wearing it. And if one day they do decide that they'd like to wear it, to be confident to be able to do so, and for that to come from them. And as for other readers, I just like this book to showcase the positive relationship that I have and so many people do, and that's what I hope that people will get from it.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned what I've heard you say, or read that you've said in other places, that you didn't want to be preaching or teaching. Although I should mention that there is, from what I understand, back matter where you talk about the hijab.
Yeah.
But the story itself, as we said, isn't necessarily focused on teaching people about the hijab, but it's obviously just an integral part of her life. And I know you've said that you really want to focus on joyful stories of Muslim lives, and not necessarily ones that are teaching a lesson or preaching about a certain belief, but just ones that show kind of normal lives. Why is that something so important to you, do you think?
So I just want to say with the back matter also, initially that wasn't part of the manuscript, and it was only at the suggestion of somebody else who's not Muslim and who really loved the story but asked the question for more information, and that's how we added it in. So that was really interesting, and it was a bit of a revelation to me, because I suppose we all get caught up in our own echo chambers. So I just wanted, I wanted the book just to not have anything too specific. And yet we had these requests, which was amazing. And it really shifted my own mindset and made me realize that actually, there's a lot of people who are positive about wanting to know more. And then that's why we added it in. And I really appreciated that. And as far as like, what I do love all books. And on my shelves, I have, the heart-wrenching, the quiet, the tough topics, the refugee and immigrant stories. And I really value those. And I think there's a place for all of them. And I'm very intentional about sharing them with on social media and with my kids. But I guess, and that the thing with underrepresented voices is that not only were Muslim voices underrepresented in the mainstream, but also the Muslim voices focused on the joyful aspects of being Muslim were also underrepresented. And those were the ones I just couldn't find as well. And when you start writing, and you have to make choices, I guess, you can't do everything. And there's so many people doing amazing things in all different spheres. And at the stage in my life I was in, I did want to focus on the joy. I have small children. I had small children, 5 or 6 years ago, and I did want to focus on the joyful parts. Like the celebrations are so important to me, and I feel a lot of confidence comes from celebrating that joy. And I want, like, any mom, I want my kids to grow up confident in who they are. And so while we have, such a big spectrum of amazing books, I just decided that I would focus on the joyful books because I couldn't find those ones also. But I mean, there's many amazing Muslim authors doing fantastic things. And I'm just happy to be one of the many, changing the narrative, I guess, and focusing on the joy.
Right. And I think it's wonderful because, like you said, a lot of times what happens is with underrepresented groups, a lot of times they tend to get kind of pigeonholed into one certain kind of story, like you said. And so you're really contributing to having a diversity of Muslim voices and Muslim writers, which is really what we need. I just want to go back to when you were talking about, like Toni Morrison said, if you don't see the book that you want to read, that you should write it. Was there a moment for you that was like an aha moment about, we need to have more books about Muslim lives, we need to have more diverse books? Was it, I don't know, maybe when you had your children, or was there one moment when you thought, this is really kind of the problem or the challenge that I want to focus on?
Yep. I think when I had my first, when my son was born, and then my daughter was born not long after that, and I thought I needed specific types of books when they were babies, and then obviously that changes as they got older. But I really, once I read, and I know a lot of people in publishing know about Dr. Rudine Sims Bishop's paper, Mirrors, Windows, and Sliding Glass Doors, but the quote that stood out for me, and because I was a reader for so many years, and I really loved it, and I only realized much later on in my life that I didn't actually ever see a character like myself reflected in the stories that I read. And that she says that literature transforms human experience and reflects it back to us, and in that reflection we see our own lives and experiences as part of a larger human experience, and reading then becomes a means of self-affirmation, and readers seek their mirrors in books. And when I read that, it was just so powerful, and I knew that I just wanted to be a part of creating mirrors for my kids and other Muslim kids. And I think that's what drives so many people, but just seeing that, reading it and seeing it in print, and having that affirmation of what you've been thinking, but so eloquently and articulately put. And just because, so I wouldn't say there was one moment. It was a gradual realization that the books that I'm looking for don't exist. And so, and I mean, that was, my son is almost 12. I started seriously looking into things about 10 years ago. started more reviewing around 8 years. So it's taken a long time. But since then, there's been so many incredible authors doing amazing things that it's a privilege to be a witness to all of that.
Yeah, I wanted to talk more about that because you have such a unique vantage point, because in a way, even though your first traditionally published book is just coming out, but you've been, for nearly a decade, you've been reviewing all of these books and, you know, have a really unique perspective on this because you've really been able to observe how it's changed, or hopefully how it's changed. What do you think? Because it seems like there are more books being published. Is that your view? Like, how has it changed? And then where do you think we need to go in the future?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I remember when I started the page Read Little Muslims back in 2014 or so, there was just a handful of traditionally published books, and it was so exciting to get my hands on them and share them. And there were many good self-published books as well. And I think I can give you the names of, I could count them on my hand, you know, the number of traditionally published books. And just to be a part, to have seen the growth over the years has been an absolute privilege, to read the type of books that we've never seen before. It's been really amazing, and I feel like if I started that page today, I would never keep up, and that's amazing.
Right.
Because there's so many people doing the traditionally published books, so many self-published as well, and there's a place for all of them, I believe. And it's just been an honor and a privilege to watch that growth. And I think so many Muslim moms have had the same realization as I have, that the books we want for our kids never existed, and we've taken it upon ourselves to do that. And I think it's incredible, and the community around the kidlit community in general is an amazing community and so supportive. And we found that, you know, within the Muslim community too, it's been amazing to connect with people all over the world. And I'm just, every time I see a new book announcement or a new author signing with an agent or a new illustrator, it's incredible. I love it. I absolutely love it. And just to see the types of books, and even coming out in the next 2 to 3 years. Incredible. And I'm really grateful to be a part of this journey.
Oh, well, it's very exciting. And speaking of being a part of the journey, so you mentioned that you had other manuscripts that you had worked on. Do you have any that we can look forward to that are coming out, or anything that you're working on right now?
Oh, yes. Sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't answer my hopes. So I just want to go back to that
sure.
for publishing. And I forgot about that. I just wanted to say that I love the celebration books, and I'm really excited whenever I see some Eid books. And I just wanted to put a mention and plug in that next Eid we will have 2 traditionally published books by my friend Aya Khalil, the night before Eid. And
just on this program, I can't remember when it was, I think over the summer.
Right. And yes, and Natasha Khan Makazi's got Moon's Ramadan. And that's what I'd love to see, as many celebration books of Muslim festivals and Eid, Ramadan, all of that. Like, I really, I mean, any faith-based religion or a faith-based celebration or anything, any of those new books, I really love to see those. And I hope that, we see lots more Muslim books and Muslim authors. And yes, I have an Eid book. Yes. Hopefully 2024. I don't have anything coming out 2023, but yes, 2024. I can't say too much about it, but I can say that I have another book with Barefoot Books also in 2024, and I'm really excited. I can't say too much about it, but I'm allowed to say that much. And
well, can you tell us, are they also going to be picture books?
Yes, both of them are going to be picture books.
Wonderful.
Yes, so I'm really excited about that. But yeah, in general, I'm very excited about the types of Muslim books coming out in the next couple of years.
Oh, yes, it is. I think we're kind of in an exciting time, hopefully a turning point in the publishing industry. And thank you for being a part of that. and taking time out to,
Thank you.
especially with the time difference. I really appreciate it.
Oh, that's okay. Thank you so much. I have been following Multicultural Children's Book Day, I think, since it started, and I'm such a huge fan of your work and the types of stuff that you guys do and promote. And I'm a huge fan, and I think you do amazing work. And I'm very grateful to be on here. So thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for saying that.
What the hair look like.